Let's bring in our good buddy, Super Dad, Emmy winner, the one and only Doug Waechter. What's going on?
Hey, Super Dad. That might be the best thing out of all the things that you just claimed that I was. So awesome having me or being a part of your show, dude. I love it, man. Thank you for thinking of me. This is great, and I can't believe you're already talking Juan Soto. I wanted to jump right in with my thoughts because the fact that he is making over $750 million blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. And I think you're onto it, man. What I was listening to you and what your thoughts were on it. I mean, it might pay off for 7-8 years, but after that, my gosh, 15, 16-year deal, nobody, when they sign deals this long, nobody is really of any worth like later on in that contract. When you get that deep into it, your body is just, it's so old. Everything's kind of given up on you. You're ready to retire. So the last 3 or 4 years, he'll be making a lot of money. Not that the Mets really care. But
Right.
it's going to be, I don't know what they're going to do toward the tail end. They have to win some World Series in that first 7 to 8 year frame.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Dougie, I look at the deals, that all these long-term deals, right? The only one was Scherzer that really, like at the end of his career, he was still throwing heat. And then it was the deal after that, he started breaking down. But whether it's Pujols or Miggy or any
Right.
of these guys, like everybody breaks down. And Dougie, those are first basemen. Those are guys that are not going to be out there playing in the outfield. This is a guy that I thought he kind of performed above expectations last year when it came to throwing the ball. I mean, you're playing in the short porch in right and Yankee, so all the throws, you're probably 20 feet closer than you are in the majority of other ballparks in the league. But as much as I feel like the Mets had to make this deal, right? You have the money, you want to pair somebody up with Francisco Lindor, but I mean, after Senga, who missed a bunch of the year last year, and David Peterson, 6'6" lefty, who I really like, they still need 2 or 3 starters.
Right.
They still need a third baseman because they're probably going to move Vientos to first. Like, there's a ton of holes on this team. And as good as they are, even after the Soto deal, I'm still taking the Braves and the Phillies over the Mets because you got Spencer Strider coming back and all the pitchers that the Braves seem to be like the Rays in the East, where they just keep churning out these young studs. And I don't know if I want to face Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler at the top of the rotation, like
Right.
when you have to face a team like the Philadelphia Phillies. So I know this is a deal that they had to make, but the Mets are still off of it, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. And honestly, I was surprised that Soto chose the Mets. If all the numbers are correct, and if the Yankees were really that close on the offer to still go with the Mets, I was surprised because I just think the Yankees have a better chance of winning a couple World Series sooner than the Mets do. I think they got a lot more pieces. I think that the Mets are still, like you said, probably the third team in that division. So it was an interesting move. It's a lot of money. You could say that. So look, I mean, God bless him for earning the amount of money that he earned. Would I have paid that guy that amount of money? It would have been tough for me to justify that. I mean, it's insane that you can go out there and now you're talking about $750 million to pay one player. The amount of money the amount of players that can get you, it's just wild, especially when we see the Rays go out there with, I mean, a minimal amount compared to these numbers that we're talking about. They're still in the playoff hunt every year. And so it's pretty interesting. It was wild news when I saw it. I had to do a double take when it came across my phone that he actually signed for that much money. I thought the only way that somebody was going to get in that realm was Shohei Ohtani, when you're playing two different positions and you're a top of the rotation arm and you're still going out there as one of the best bats in the league. So I'll tell you one thing. I'm just glad he didn't go to the Dodgers because I couldn't handle anybody else going to the Dodgers. No, I was about over with that. So
They're the new evil empire.
Glad he didn't land there. So that was good. That was good news. That's something we can celebrate. Something else we can celebrate that I want to bring up is the fact you wearing a Mortal Kombat shirt on air, bro. That is awesome. I love it, man.
Who did you use for Mortal Kombat back in the day? Who was your guy?
Gosh. Oh my gosh. I would have to think about it. Who's the female that was the woman?
Katana?
Yes, Katana. She was awesome.
Yeah, she was great.
Awesome. So
I was a
I was
Sub-Zero.
more.
I was a Sub-Zero guy. So you freeze the guy, hit him with the uppercut. My buddy was the Scorpion, where you shot the thing and he pulled the guy towards you.
Yep.
Old
Sub-Zero
school.
was awesome. I like the old school arcade version the best.
Yes.
Like when you go in and that you're actually like playing, standing up, playing, you got grease all over your fingers from all the pizza you've been eating. And then eventually, you get back to going to eat. But that was my favorite, man, going to the old school arcades. God, now you got me thinking about arcades and Blockbuster.
I know. Oh my God, Blockbuster Video was the jam. Yeah,
Getting
old
old.
arts. People were asking me that we were having this conversation today about great arcade games. Mortal Kombat was one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like games like
Yep.
that, where you just kept putting the coins in. You kept playing, even if you died and your friends were still playing. Hurry up, put another quarter in. Like there was just those little games.
There's the NBA game that was
NBA Jam.
unbelievable. NBA Jam was, Oh my God.
He's
I could
on
have played that.
fire.
Oh, I could have played that forever. That one was great. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I probably wasted so much money on that game. Every penny was worth it, 100%.
I want to ask you a question before we get to the Rays, because knowing all the guys that I've met over the years that are pitchers, when Garrett Cole doesn't cover first base on that play in the World Series, does a little part of you die on the inside?
It cringe. You just cringe. Whether you like Garrett Cole or not, whether you want the Yankees to go
right
win the World Series or not, as a former pitcher, you're watching and you know for a fact that this dude, by the way, wow, I'm getting fireworks in the
background.
At that.
I don't know where that's from. That's great.
Right,
no, I don't know.
I'll take that. All right.
Awesome.
I didn't do it because I know nothing about the technology. I was just glad I could get on this thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but to watch Garrett Cole not go over there, knowing that he's had probably 1,000 reps through spring training, through minor leagues, covering first base, and just all of a sudden not do it in the World Series when he thinks Anthony Rizzo will get to the bag. You just sit there like, oh my God, I can't believe that's how that inning got extended, or one of the ways that inning.
Take us through that, because people were saying that, and I kept trying to have this conversation with people, and they're like, oh, he fell asleep. And I go, no, it's not he fell asleep, because he took a step. Like his initial instinct was take a step, but he pulled up because he thought Rizzo was going to go to first base. He thought he was closer than he was. So, it's one of those things where it's not always intent, right? It's one of those things where I thought above everything, it was a lack of communication. You guys both have to head to the bag. And at least if you're a pitcher, you get halfway there and you realize you ran for nothing. That's fine. Right. But it wasn't like he just ran off the mound, he turned the other way, and he wasn't paying attention.
Well, Rizzo, remember, he's like a gold caliber first baseman. Right. I mean, that guy's outstanding at first. So I think what happened was Cole, when he goes over there, he knows who's on first base for him, and he assumed that, the ball's hit somewhat directly to him. He's going to be able to make that play. But Rizzo was so far back that it would have taken him a little time to get there. And so it was just one of those things, miscommunication, and all of a sudden the inning gets extended in the worst way possible.
What do you think about Danny Jansen, new catcher coming in for the Rays? I mean, this is a guy that he could swing it a little bit. We've seen him a lot in the AL East the last couple of years. I mean, he set the record last year, being the first player in MLB history to play in the same game for two different teams, for the Red Sox after he got traded from the Blue Jays. But other than those great kind of old school rec spec glasses that he has on, what else do we know about Danny Jansen?
Yeah, I like it. It brings stability to a position that you have to have stability at, right? It's a guy who's a veteran player in the AL East. And I think it's important that he does play in the East, or he has experience in the AL East, because that division is still like no other. It's just a hard division. So his experience alone is going to be really good. But I also think that the fact that he has a lot of years under his belt and he can go in and control a staff. I've heard some really good things about what he does defensively. And the Rays just flat out wouldn't go get him if they didn't believe in what he could do defensively. And so our best years, the Rays' best seasons, are when they have some stability behind the plate. And I think that's what Jansen will bring. I think the pitchers are going to be really happy to be working with him. And I think he's got some stuff offensively to work with. I think he can go out there and do pretty well offensively. So I think it's a great move. They definitely were targeting somebody that they can put behind the dish, somebody with some tenure in the major leagues and some success. And I think they got it in Jansen.
I always feel, and I'm sure you're the same way, that the best teams in baseball, they have to be strong up the middle, right? The spine is so important, and, locking him in, and, if Rortved's there, that's a decent platoon. I wouldn't hate that at all. Lefty righty matchup there. But I look it up the middle. Now Siri's gone. Are you okay with DeLuca being the everyday center fielder? Because at times he looked like he could swing it. Other times he really had some struggles. Looks like Lau's coming back, so he'll play second base. We'll see about the future of a guy like Yandy, whether he slides over to first, if they move him or they keep him at second. And then, shortstop, we thought we had that question answered for a while, but I don't know if Carson Williams is ready yet. Taylor Walls, started the season due to injury, but I don't know if he's the long-term answer. We kind of know what they're looking like at third with Junior, in right field with Josh Lowe, but there's a lot of concerns or just a lot of questions when it comes to the rest of the roster this season.
Siri, when you go back to DeLuca and Siri, I think what they're hoping for is that DeLuca can up his game to the point, maybe not where Siri was, because Siri was flat out. He was one of the best center fielders in the league. Right. Whether you liked the kind of flair that he had when he did play, right, when he was running down balls, I understand some people, maybe it wasn't for them. Either way, he was able to get the balls that the majority of players just couldn't get to. And I'm talking about other major leaguers. So he was outstanding in the outfield. He was outstanding in center field. I think they see DeLuca as being a guy who can branch out and become a very, very good center fielder, if not a potential Gold Glove center fielder. He's going to definitely need some work. He's going to have to get very comfortable in that position, playing, the majority of the reps there. So I think that they're hoping his offense can take another step is what it is. Now, if you want to judge it based off of what you're losing in Jose Siri, I mean, he wasn't outstanding offensively. He was going up there, a lot of strikeouts, right? He did have the potential to hit home runs at times, but, for him to move on and for DeLuca to take that role, I think they're hoping for at least similar, if not better numbers offensively than what Siri put up. And if they can do that, then they'll be happy with it because, it's always going to be, how athletic and how good are they defensively if they're going to make this roster and make the starting lineup for the Rays, at least in the outfield. And, DeLuca is a super athlete. So I think he can fit in. I like the move, but, you're going to have to see him advance a little bit from where he was last year.
Yeah, I think for him, you may lose some of the power because Siri can hit the ball a mile, but for a guy like DeLuca, putting the ball in play, right? Putting the ball in play, getting a little bit more old school, just, wreak havoc on the base pass if you have to, just smacking a ground ball and maybe beating something out, a high hopper to shortstop. What about the shortstop position, Doug? Where do you see kind of the future, do you think we'll see Carson Williams this year? Do you think it's still kind of a Taylor Walls type of thing? Or could that guy possibly not be on the roster?
Man, I'll tell you what, I hope Carson Williams is up this year. From everything I've heard about this dude, and I'm talking about people outside of the Rays organization, because of course, everybody inside the organization is going to be very high on him. They're going to tell you about what his upside is, where he plays, where he projects out to be, which they should. That's every team is going to do that. But when you start talking to other scouts around the league and you start talking to guys that I used to play with and some of these guys telling me what we have in the minor league system, leading the charge is Carson Williams, it's pretty exciting. It really is. This kid is supposed to be the real deal. And, unfortunately, he's going to have an opening at the shortstop position. The Rays thought they locked one up for a while. It doesn't look like that at least is going to pan out anytime soon. So Carson Williams, I can definitely see him making the move at some point to hopefully get to the big leagues. And it most likely won't be until the end of the year. At least that's my guess. But from what he's put together in the minor league system, it seems like he would be ready if he continues to, stay on the same trajectory for some big league time at some point this year. We all know what Walls can do defensively. It would be great to see him, contribute a little bit more offensively in certain ways. And I know he's already said that. I mean, that's his goal. He wants to be more of a hitter as well. But defensively, he's one of the better shortstops in the league, if not one of the best. So I think he can definitely play that role as long as they need him to. But Carson Williams is the shortstop of the future.
Doug, it's been I'm glad we could talk about Danny Jansen and some of the other things about this team, because the only talk that we've had the last couple of months about this Rays team is the stadium. I mean, it's been tough, man. I mean, I've been having so many different people on the podcast, from Mark Topkin to Colleen Wright of the Times to Mr. Commissioner Latvala from Pinellas County. It's been crazy, man. And for you, a guy growing up in the area, to see more questions than answers during this saga. I mean, it's tough because we just everybody wants baseball here in the Tampa Bay area.
You know, I think one of the things I was kind of blindsided by all of it, honestly. I know I was reading a few clips about, hey, it's probably not a good thing that it keeps getting delayed. And, you know, they got a new commission coming in, a couple new seats are being filled. And I didn't really pay much attention to it because I had just assumed, probably like the Rays, that everything was going to move forward, that the deal was struck. And we had already celebrated, you know, that the fact that baseball is going to be in the area for the foreseeable future. They're going to be part of the development. And, you know, I was very surprised from everything that happened. And, you know, it was very unfortunate, the turn of events and the timeline when you're tracking it all, just watching it all go down. And, you know, at this point in time, I'm just hopeful as, first of all, a Rays baseball fan, a Major League Baseball fan, and a native to the Tampa Bay area, and specifically St. Pete. I'm born and raised here. My kids don't know a St. Petersburg without the Tampa Bay Rays in it, right? And there's a lot of kids in this area that's the same way. So whatever needs to happen, however they need to make it work, that's my hope, is that we just, you know, this is just a little blip on the map and on the radar, and they can move forward and find a way to bridge a gap here, because I don't want to think about the other possibilities, right? I just want to make sure that all these younger generations get to enjoy, you know, a Rays team that we've been able to enjoy for the last 25, 30 years.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And one of the things that makes the Rays so great is the crew that you guys have had over the year, whether it was Fox Sports to Bally to now the FanDuel Sports Network. You guys got another Emmy. I mean, just no brainer, right? I mean, I wasn't surprised when I see that, because I've told you guys and I've texted you guys when you're on air, and you guys have called me when I used to do the post-game show. The fun, whether it's you and Rich and Ryan and Denard and Matt and all, just the whole crew and everybody that does yeoman's work behind the scenes. I mean, you guys do such a wonderful job. What does it mean to win yet another Emmy for the job that you guys do?
Well, first of all, thank you. I mean, it's never taken for granted that, you know, we're able to get one of these things, and it's pretty special that we were nominated in the first place and that we actually ended up winning it on Saturday. And I always joke with Richie that one of these days we're actually going to go to the Emmy Award ceremony, because they have a full-on Emmy Award, red carpet, all that stuff. And me and him are going to be decked out in the Dumb and Dumber suits, the orange and blue, with the top hat. And we're going to go up there, and I'm going to slam the cane in his back when he's walking up. That's my goal at one point in time. So hopefully we get nominated another year, and we have that opportunity to go out there. But all kidding aside, it's a big blessing to be able to go out there, and it's special to be able to work for this team, right? I love the Rays. I'm biased, and I'll tell you that this team has done a lot for me and my family. You know, they allowed me the opportunity to play for them in the first place, gave me the opportunity to play in the big leagues, and now gave me the opportunity to broadcast for them and kind of be a mouthpiece for the organization. It's also my hometown team. So I love them to death. I'm not just a broadcaster, I'm a fan. So it's a dream job for me to be able to cover them on air. And to be able to cover them with some of my best friends, go out there and enjoy going on air with Rich, you know, and Matt and Art, all these guys, and all the people behind the scenes, man. Jay, you know how important everybody is behind the cameras, the producers, the directors, everybody. It takes a team effort to do any kind of show, and we have the best. We really do. So it's just lucky that I get to go out there and joke around and have fun with it all year long, and really enjoy going to the studio or going to the field.
You guys do a great job, man, and it just makes our viewing pleasure that much more better. Give my love to the entire family. Tell your son he's posting the greatest like Instagram uncommitted. Every time I'm like, oh, is he gonna go here? He's not gonna go there. So it's just, I can't, he fools me every time. But if he wants to make the announcement on my show, I'd love to have him. And of course, hashtag Tiger, because if I don't say that, Miguel will he was like, come on, man, we're talking Jesuit on the program today. You know, show you guys love. I appreciate you, buddy. Give my love to the family again. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll talk to you again soon, partner.
Hey, you're the best, man. I'm here anytime. Love coming on. Thanks,
pal. See you, buddy.